You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member Mary Baker and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace. I am not joined by my team members, Sharon McNamara or Mary Baker tonight. They are very busy in the real estate world. But I am joined by, I feel like, my forever Tuesday co-host here. And you can hear her chuckling a little bit. But my Tuesday co-host here, Kristen Howlett. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And I just reprimanded you because she put a mint in her mouth before the show.
Candy.
A butterscotch candy. That's not mint, but it's the same difference, right? She put it in her mouth before the show. And
Sorry.
I told you. You're not new here, okay? I know that you're not new. Yeah, I know that you're not new, but why don't you reintroduce yourself to all of our listeners? You are a full-time real estate agent here at Boston Connect Real Estate, but why don't you just reintroduce yourself? I'm going to get us live on Facebook, and we're waving hello
good.
on all the Connect pages. So why don't you take the floor, Kristen?
Thank you. So my name is Kristen Howlett. I'm a full-time real estate agent at Realtor. I always say agent.
Realtor.
I'm a realtor.
Well, you're a real estate agent. You're a realtor. You
I'm
are
a
a
realtor.
realtor.
At Boston Connect Real Estate, I service anywhere and everywhere. I have been doing it for 5 years now, which seems crazy.
5 years?
Yeah.
I feel like it's longer because I've been here for 7.
No, we talk about this all the time. It's been 5 years.
No
Longer.
I don't know about that.
So we have a very exciting topic to talk about tonight.
Did you finish your introduction? Like, I feel like you
No,
don't
sorry.
even you don't even like want to give your introduction anymore because you're on the show so often. But we do have new listeners that just tune in every week.
We did have but I can you
What?
hear that? I hear a car alarm.
I
in the
know, you just
background.
ignore it.
Oh, okay, sorry. So yes, Kristen Howlett, Boston Connect Real Estate, full-time realtor, service. I live in Bridgewater with my husband, Brian, my 3 kids. Actually, I only have 1 at home right now, and my golden doodle.
Your golden doodle.
Who I
Honey, she
adore.
comes into the office. So if you follow us on social media, Boston Connect Real Estate or even McNamara Broker Team, Kristen Howlett, you'll see Honey every once in a while, just like being the total goofball that she is.
If you live in Bridgewater, you possibly saw me walking her today, fighting with her because she is just a nuisance.
It's okay. She's a baby.
She is a baby.
She's a
good
baby.
girl.
But yeah, so you obviously join me all the time. You join Sharon all the time. And we're so grateful. I feel like you are an honorary co-host here, and
I'm a
we have to
good
start.
fill-in.
We have to start branding some of our stuff with you on it. But you sort of, I usually ask you last minute. I asked you yesterday if you wanted to do the show, and you came up with the topic today. And we've been sort of focusing a lot on sellers, and it's just because we're in this industry every day, all day, and we know that there are sellers out there that are on the fence about selling, whether it's because of interest rates or they don't know where to go, so we're trying to come up with shows and topics that are sort of encouraging to people to even just start the conversation, right?
And exactly. And to maybe address any objections or maybe concerns that they have, because listen, it's legitimate.
Yeah.
It's legitimate to have concerns about selling your house. And sometimes I feel like we keep going, we talk about the same thing over and over, but you know what? We've just got to drive it home that
Yeah.
it can be done.
So you came up with our topic tonight. So we're going to be talking about, what to expect when selling your home, but sort of like preparing your home while you're still living in it. So we say these things like, oh, we can prepare all day to put your house on the market, whether it be for photography or an open house or anything. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people are still living in their house while they're selling. It's not, you don't see a ton of vacant homes right now on the market, but I mean, they do exist and they are on the market. But for the most part, and I feel like it also depends on sort of the price range. Like if this isn't your first home, you're obviously, living in your home and you haven't sort of sold it yet and you're selling it with you in it, but you'll be gone the day of closing. But we're just sort of going to be talking about sort of, just what to expect during the process while you're still in the house.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people think, oh, it's not possible. Like, what if you have pets?
Yeah.
What
Well,
if you
we've done a
have
show.
small
We've done a
children
show before. Like moving with pets and with kids and stuff. And I mean, I don't have any kids, but I definitely have a cat. So, it can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be. Right. And I think that open communication is the most important part. So, sort of go through your process as a listing agent. So you go to a home, you get the listing. What are sort of the expectations that you give your sellers, right before they go on the market? And how is the process going to go for them?
So the first thing we like to talk about is anything that needs to be done. I don't really love people to shell out a lot of money to get their house on the market. Usually it can be, some staging, some switch some stuff, clean, declutter, do all those things. But maybe there are a few necessary repairs that need to be done. But that's kind of the beginning part. Yeah. And then I get my clients ready to be picture ready. And really picture ready and showing ready are kind of the same thing. But picture ready is one thing. I like to go in and Michelle Doherty does my photos, and she's like my tag team. We are a tag team because we go in each room, I take everything out, and then I put it back, and then she takes the
Brian.
picture.
So Brian is her brother, and I know Sharon and Mary use him a lot. A lot of the agents in the office use him a lot, and we were always like hiding things, like whether it's under a bed or in a cabinet or in the bathtub.
I've brought a big bin, and I put everything in the bin, and then I shove it on the thing. She takes her picture. We
put it back.
Out. I have had to text her afterwards and say, Michelle, where did we put that? The fan. I can't find it anywhere. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's upstairs underneath the bed on the right-hand side. She totally remembers.
Yeah. How perfect is that, though?
Mm-hmm. She's awesome.
She is awesome.
But so we get it picture ready because that's really the first step of putting your house on the market is getting professional pictures done. And then we talk about how we're going to handle the showings. And like we are saying, most people still have to live in their house. So, I like to I always say I like my sellers to ride the bus. They're driving the bus. They're going to tell me when we're going to do showings. I encourage them to open it up. Typically here we like to do, I like to list on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Showings Thursday, Friday, open house Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. I'm a very big advocate in letting people get into the house. Mm-hmm. And it's not just at the open houses. And now that I'm a buyer in this market as well, like I have that perspective of like, I know what it's like to have to wait 4 days to see a house, that I now know that 100 other people are going to be seeing it. So everybody is sitting there waiting, and then you all show up at the same time. That just causes chaos.
And I will say it until I'm blue in the face. It's so not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Like if and you know what, not being ready is one thing, but then we bump it out another week. I had somebody, we ended up bumping it out a whole month. She wasn't ready. She thought she would be. But you know what? You're better off going on and doing it right than to not, have people traipsing up. And you know what? We both know this market, although we're seeing very similarities to last year, it's a different market. It's a little bit finicky. Buyers they've already been through this before. So houses that we think are maybe going to go at the first open house, they don't. So you do have to, this is a very different conversation than we had with people last year. Because last year we could say, chances are your house is going to be sold by the open house. Mm-hmm. You're going to be uncomfortable for maybe a weekend. But now we're starting to see open houses, and then the showings lead into the next week. And that's something that the sellers really need to be prepared for.
Well, it's not just for the showings. I mean, once you do have an accepted offer, the buyer, depending on the verbiage in a purchase and sales, they may have a couple opportunities to come into the house. So whether it is to meet a contractor or to measure for furniture or paint or whatever, there are going to be some times that you might be interrupted. And I think that if we're just open and honest about that and come to an agreement, then there shouldn't be any sort of, you're always going to set the expectation, and I also see sometimes like in MLS when a new listing comes on, it's like, 24-hour notice. And that's usually the seller saying to the agent, like, hey, maybe they work from home or they, have kids or they can't, do a showing after a certain time. So they need sort of that 24-hour grace period between.
No, in this market, like you saying 24 hours, it feels like 3 weeks.
I know.
That's not even possible.
You're telling me I'm a buyer in this market. And I'm like, if I had to wait 24 hours to see a house, like my anxiety would be through the roof.
Yeah. So basically you need to understand that if you're putting your house on the market, this is what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In this day and age, it really is not reasonable to ask somebody to wait 24 hours. You should set aside times.
Tell that to the people who have the house on the market right now.
Well, you should be able to sit down with your client and come up with times. What works for you? That's really what I do. I would say my last 4 listings were people that worked from home.
Yeah.
We have to work around them. Now, one of them worked in his office. We poked the head in and we shut the door. But
they were there for the showings?
He was there for the showings because he had to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We had open houses, but there were some showings that he had to be there. So, there's always a workaround. There's a solution to every problem.
There is a solution to every problem. And you know what? Good information to know about the process is how it goes. So like how the process flows overall, whether you're a first-time home seller, because it's not just first-time home buyers, it's first-time home seller or haven't sold in a really long time. Like everything else, this market is ever-changing. This industry is ever-changing. So there may be norms, there may not be norms, but as long as there is good, information that's given to everybody about how this sort of process goes, I feel like it will go smoothly. There has to be communication, open communication. So we sort of talked about like consultations and, with, your sellers and just setting the expectations, and obviously working with a professional agent is very helpful. I mean, there, like any other industry, there are, realtors that aren't, as professional as others. But if, again, open communication with what the expectation is. I'm a listing agent. I'm a strong listing agent that always does professional photography. So no matter what the price range is, no matter what, and I've had a conversation with you in the past where you have said, oh, should I do professional photos with this one? And my question is, what was my question to you? It was, why not? Why wouldn't you? Don't you do it for your other ones?
Everyone.
Every single one, no matter what, because that is the standard that you have as a listing agent.
Right.
So, it's also gaining an understanding of like what your client needs and what they want. So obviously they want to sell their home for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, although maybe they don't want to sell it in the short amount of time. Maybe they do need time. They want to secure a buyer for their house and then start their home search. That's another option that's out there.
Interesting that you brought that up this evening.
Oh, why?
We're going to be talking
Oh,
about that.
yeah. We do have a special caller that's calling in. Does she know the studio number?
Oh, she just said, are you supposed to text me the number?
Yeah. Well, I'll give it to everybody, and Kristen is going to be sharing it right now, too. So 781-837-4900 is the number to WATD, and you can, call them. They'll patch you right through. You can join in on the discussion. We are live on Facebook, too. I'm waving to you if you're watching us. And, you can join on the discussion there if you are a little shy about calling in.
So, so back to selling and showing while you're living in the house. You can. It might be a little uncomfortable. Let's say at the most for a week, but it can be done. And the important thing to remember is you make the rules. Your agent will help you work through them, but maybe you want to set aside time on a Friday evening enough that you could go out to dinner. If you have a dog, you could pack the dog up or go for a walk. But you can do showings strictly Friday afternoon from, say, 4 to 7, and then an open house. And I always say expect that some people are going to want to have the private showings after the open house.
Oh, I think we have a special caller. They might be calling from Marshfield. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. How are you guys?
Good.
So we're going to set the tone for this.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce our caller, Kristen, and why she's so important to you?
So for a couple of months now, I keep thinking, oh, it would be so great if we had somebody call in with their experience, because we can talk about it from our perspective. But so I asked my good friend Ellen, who just recently went through selling and buying at the same time. And she's been gracious enough to call in, and she's going to answer all our questions. So Ellen.
With pleasure.
With pleasure. I love that. Well, I've had the pleasure of meeting Ellen in person a couple of times, and you are just a doll. And I called into the studio this morning just giving a little sneak preview of what we're going to be talking about, and I just said that, I had met you probably for the first time at your final walkthrough in Marshfield. You and your husband, just the nicest, cutest
the
couple,
best.
the best. And
Oh,
and
thank
Kristen
you.
has every positive thing that you could say about somebody, she says it about you guys. So we're so
That's
grateful
so
to have you
nice.
calling.
Thank you. Well, I'm so grateful to be asked. I respect both of you so much. It's exciting.
Ooh, well, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So, Kristen,
right,
why
so-
did you want Ellen to call into the show tonight? What was sort of her experience and process?
Well, I thought she would give a unique perspective because she sold her house that she had lived in for how long, Ellen?
Gosh, just since 1999, so 22 years.
So a lot to pack up. And she
Yeah.
also, so one thing, what we talked about this a little bit earlier, what you guys had been thinking about selling for a while, and what ultimately was your deciding factor to sell?
Well, I think we were empty nesters, so we had been really thinking about it long before we really seriously thought about it. But I think the pandemic, we spent our time in the pandemic driving obsessively by houses on the market and finding neighborhoods and all of this open houses and showings with the mask and the slippers and everything. And then I was like, what are we waiting for? Like, we had met with Kristen once we decided we were ready to move forward, because we said after looking at the houses, what are we waiting for? We can do this forever. You can't let perfect get in the way of pretty great. So we met with a realtor, and then we met with Kristen, and I just felt like so safe and kind of inspired by you. You had such an upbeat approach to it. Like, it may take a while, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be a process. And it was true. And so we just decided to take a leap of faith.
And you did
Which is
it.
what you told us to do. Take
Yeah.
a leap of faith.
Yeah.
I remember those very words.
Take a leap of faith. Yeah. I love that you just said, like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's something that simple to just ask yourself that question, to like sort of snap yourself
Yeah.
out of what you're living in, sort of. Not that you were, living in a home that was, needed to be torn down or anything. You had a beautiful home. I went to your open house when Kristen was selling it. Gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. I think that I think we would just like we could talk about this and go in circles forever, but yet another summer is going to go by that are going to drive to the beach 4 times a week when we should live near the
Wishing
beach.
you lived
And
there.
so,
Yeah.
and we just finally were like, let's do it. It's only going to be better, and we're so happy we did. Oh my God,
Oh, I know.
it was grueling getting ready, getting the house ready, but.
So that's
so
another
worth it.
thing too, because I think in the beginning you guys thought, oh, I might have to do well. No, because years before that, you had a couple years where you had been prepping, painting, replacing doors, doing the trim, doing everything to lead up to that. So and then in the final stretch, it was a lot of, hurry up.
It was a lot of cosmetic stuff. We did our bathroom over because we knew that was a selling point. We couldn't afford to do the kitchen, and like I'm doing my kitchen over now in the house we're in, and I'm so glad I didn't attempt to do that because I am so specific about what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Someone walks in and they kind of like the kitchen. It's almost better that they hate it, and then they can start from scratch and do what they want, so they will love it. So we focused on paint and the bathrooms and stuff, and it really wasn't that bad. I just kept saying, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to have the basement, resealed. And then finally it was like, you know what? I don't expect every house I look at to be perfect. This is fine.
Well,
And
that's
it was
funny
great, and
because,
we were successful.
And
love
you know
that.
what? It didn't matter. In the end, it didn't matter.
Yeah, no, it
Right.
didn't. I remember going through that open house, and like I said earlier, like your house was great.
Yeah.
You had a great house. You had a great
Yeah.
house for what you were using it for. You raised a family in that home, and someone was going to come in and make it their own,
Exactly.
and either raise their
Right.
own family or have it be for them. But I mean, it was a great size house in a great neighborhood, and it just
Yeah, we were very happy there.
yeah, and that was great. And I loved what you said about, you're very particular about your kitchen now because I always say, like, don't spend money on something that you are going to make that you love and then you're turning around and selling it because, like you just said, everybody has different tastes. So why you might as well just leave it the way that it is.
And price it accordingly.
Price it
which we
accordingly.
did.
I'm a big
Right.
advocate of like updating mechanicals because I feel like me as a buyer, I am looking at the ages of all the mechanicals. Have you been maintaining them? Like, what's the life expectancy out of these things? I don't care what a kitchen looks like, but that's me. I don't necessarily care what a
Right.
kitchen looks like or a bathroom looks like. I'll get to it when I can get to it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to replace the water heater. I don't want to have to replace a roof or the septic
Right,
system.
right.
Those are big things for me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
It was
so-
nice.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we did have to do repairs to our septic first, so like we did do the mechanicals as you're saying, but yeah, and it was worth it because
Yep.
we had a lot of offers, so it was fantastic.
Okay, so what surprised you the most in the process?
Oh gosh, I guess I saw my house through a more critical eye, and I was like, oh, this needs, I was surprised at the amount of offers we had right away. I was surprised how quickly it went. Once it started, it went quickly. I don't think I was super surprised because you prepared me for everything. This is what's going to happen, and with the offers and the change, you know what I mean? There weren't a ton of surprises. I mean, surprises looking and, trying to buy on the other side, some great and some not great, but definitely adventurous. But in the sale, I felt really prepared. You were excellent, Kristen.
Aw, thank
I
you.
mean, honestly, you had charts, and I knew what to expect every step of the way.
And
So,
you
I mean,
also,
Nope. I'm good. Go ahead.
And you guys also sold, and we had to take a
Yeah.
huge leap of faith because you didn't have anything under agreement.
So
Yeah,
something to
that was
purchase.
scary.
So
That
was scary.
And before we
But-
move on to the buy side of that, my comment on this conversation right here is, I think that you were prepared for all of that to happen because she did tell you those things, but she also priced your house to the condition that it's in. So if anybody was going to come in and offer over asking or anything, that was on them. That was what they wanted because they wanted your house. When you price a house accordingly, it sort of backs your expectations for the house, you know. So if as a realtor, if we know, like, at the end of the day, the seller comes up with the price, like they have to agree to the price to put their house on the market. So if they want something that is well over what, you know, the market value is, the realtor is not going to say, oh yeah, you're going to get 50 offers over asking, because it won't happen. And I think that because, Kristen, you set the expectation and you set yourself up and your sellers up for success. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
and
for
I think
sure. I mean, we were very agreeable with her estimate on the price. And my husband is the most practical person alive. Like, he knows exactly what everything costs. And yeah, I thought it was priced perfectly. I mean, luckily, the nature of the market at that time, we did have offers over, but that was just a great surprise, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And okay, what's my last question?
Are you going back in text messages because you guys are going back and forth today?
Would you do anything differently?
Would I do anything differently? Not on the sale end. I really don't think I would. I think we did everything right on that side. I really do.
Yeah.
I think on the buying side, I wouldn't fall in love with houses so emotionally that I wasn't going to get. But all through the process, Kristen would say, Melissa, and we wanted to throttle her when we kept getting turned down because it was so crazy at the time. I'm telling you, I'm manifesting it. The right house is going to come along.
She says that to me too. So.
But it's true.
But she's right.
It's so
because
true.
honestly, we would go to a house that I didn't even want, and there'd be like 20 couples in line to get in and look at it. And then the house we got, there was no panicked feeling. We had an inspection. You know, it just was perfect. The whole experience was good instead of feeling anxiety ridden and we have to offer them so much money because we have to get it. Nope, it was perfect. It went well, and
you actually got
happier.
And you actually got into that one for less than the listing price.
Yeah,
and
we had an inspection.
And it was. I really believe it was meant to be because that was a fantastic house. We caught it at the right time. Do you know what I mean?
They didn't have an open house, which was if they had an open house, it would have got right
100%.
up, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
I will say, too, Kristen is like the best person to look at a house with because we almost didn't get it because, you know, she saw this vision for a room that just changed the whole way we were looking at the house. And that's what we did, and that's what our architect did, the kitchen architect, whatever you call it, the designer. And it all worked out. She was good. She would walk into houses and say, no, you'd be overpaying for this. Like, she cared about, she wasn't just trying to make a sale with us because she cared. I mean, I'm not trying to do an ad for Kristen, but she was great.
It's okay. Keep going.
We did have a good experience, and it was great. And Melissa, my dealings with you were great, too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. You guys are the best.
Kristen comes to a lot of my showings, and, she's not just, a realtor here at Boston Connect. I'm not just her manager or her co-host. We're also friends outside of here. So to hear her just be honest with me about, don't envision you in this neighborhood. I don't envision you in this
Yeah.
home, or this is a really great find for you, And she does say to me, I'm manifesting. And, as much as I would like to be like, let me be upset, she has to snap me back into reality because it will happen. And
Because the hard thing is, I'm just as emotional as you guys. I just
Yeah.
can't show it.
She
Brian
can't
has
show
to
it.
listen to me when I get home, and I'm like, oh my god.
she gets to watch me cry about it. And then she's like, yeah, I'm manifesting, you'll be fine. And then she walks away and she's probably like, oh, I feel so bad for her. But you know what? It's
know,
what
it's
we need
hard
in
for
the
you.
moment.
We can't picture ourselves anywhere else than where we ended up. It sounds so corny, but it's true. Like, I could not be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were 100%. And I always say about you, we went full circle because we were and listen, here's the thing. Haywood Place had an amazing backyard that we spent so much time in. So it was hard. It was hard for us to watch them sell the house too, but we were floating in the pool and she started with, I just want a little ranch in Marshfield. And then all of a sudden we were looking at like 5-bedroom houses in Sandwich.
Yeah, I remember that.
I know. They were four. They were
Four
that
bedroom.
needed, like, to be gutted and had the yard ripped up.
Do you remember how many offers you put in before your offer got
Oh.
accepted?
A lot.
7.
7 offers.
7 total. I
7
think there were 6 before this.
Mm-hmm.
There was 1 in Marshfield, 3 in Sandwich, and 2 in Plymouth.
Oh,
1
yeah,
in
yeah,
Plymouth.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Plymouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ended up in
I-
a ranch in Marshfield,
Marshfield,
exactly what
yeah.
you wanted when you were floating in the pool.
And now she
Exactly what I
set
wanted.
and now she set a huge standard because now that's where we want to be. Because what's beautiful about where they are is it's a walk to the beach and they're still in a great little neighborhood. So you don't
Yeah.
have that,
Yeah, your house is sort of tucked away.
so quiet.
It's so quiet.
Private.
Yeah, it's super private, and I loved that. It wasn't a garage because you couldn't put a car. What was it? Like the 2-story.
Man,
The
John's
2-story
Ranch.
shed, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
great.
keep that up? Because
We're
you said
actually renovating the second floor of it for John's office.
good. Yeah, because I know that when we were doing the walkthrough, you guys had mentioned, oh, maybe like tearing it down or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I would live in this thing. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is gonna
So
be
I'm
cool.
glad that you guys
Well-
are renovating it.
We wanted to get a garage. Like, my husband wanted a big garage they could put an office in, but then we started getting estimates, and we were like, oh, this would be cute to renovate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bananas, but yeah, no, it'll be good when it's done. That's next on the list.
Yeah. But what I was saying about, so your house is sort of tucked away, but yes, it's very close to the beach. When I left the walkthrough, I was like, oh, I am very close to the beach. I'm going to drive down to the beach. And I went down to the beach and, and I was like, wow, like their lives are going to be like this every day.
Oh
like
my
they
God.
can literally just be like, have dinner, a glass of wine at home, maybe walk down to the beach, like, and you, that has rubbed off on you, correct?
Oh,
Like that's what you guys want, you and Brian want.
We're the forever visitors on Sunday too.
I know, Kristen, your cubby's ready for May.
I know. I said we're going to get our little wagon so we can walk down. But you know what else I love? And I tell people because I feel like because of our age, Ellen, we're in that same, like there's a lot of empty nesters who are now, the house is too big.
Yeah.
We don't need to be here. But I keep saying too, like I love that Bree and the kids come down, and you know what? They're close enough that they can come down every Sunday. And you proved exactly what I thought. Like I want my kids to come back,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I want
They
them to
did
want to
every
come.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until the kitchen went under renovation, we can't have the baby crawling around. But in a couple of weeks, they'll be back every Sunday, and it was just it's so nice. We can go to the beach. They love it here, and they're going to make so many memories.
Yeah, like you said, the girls are going to have like their little summer friends there.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Lucy's been painting rocks for our yard. It's just phenomenal.
Ellen, do you have any final words for our listeners of anything that you want to say about maybe your experience with Kristen or your experience with buying or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're even thinking about it, just do it. I mean, what are you waiting for? If you want to live somewhere that you always have wanted to live, then go live there. And I would call Kristen Howlett because she's awesome. Honest to God, she was the best realtor. She was just great. You have great taste, and you were so good at dealing with the other realtors and helping us present our offer in the best light. So just do it.
Face.
Come to Marshfield and hang on the beach with us, everybody.
Come to Marshfield.
We walk to the beach, but we totally stumble home.
And that's
Thank
just
God for
being
the
honest.
It's all good.
Yeah, you definitely need wagons, and Brian can just wheel you back home.
Yeah.
There you go.
They can pop us in the wet. We need new wagons with rubber wheels.
Sometimes we make them walk back, and then they come back and pick us up.
You guys are funny.
Only if it's dark. Only if it's dark.
That's so funny.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ellen. We really appreciate
Thank
you calling
for having
in.
me.
You're the
This
best.
was really fun.
You are
Thanks
the
a lot,
best.
you guys.
Thank you.
Hey.
Enjoy
the
your
best.
little ranch in Marshfield. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
And I can't wait to come
told
visit.
Kristen, as soon as the kitchen's done, you got to come over for a glass of wine.
I
Right
will.
From Pembroke.
Oh, awesome.
I
All
will.
right.
I'm
All right.
counting down the days.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
That was so fun. I love that she called in. When she was talking, I loved the whole part of like, what are you waiting for type of thing. And I think a lot, we Sharon and I did a show on Saturday about right sizing. And, a lot of people say, if I'm selling X, Y, and Z with an interest rate, my payment's either going to be the same or higher somewhere else, and it's a different type of house, or it's going to be the same type of house. But in reality, it's like, like Ellen says, like, what are you waiting for? Like, if this interest rates, you can refinance, you can, they're sort of fluctuating. And if you've always wanted to live in a little ranch in Marshfield, why not?
Yeah.
If you can make it work and make it affordable for you, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. And honest to God, she's not blowing smoke. They are so happy.
Yeah.
And so it all started too because we kayak a lot, and we would go down and we would, park at John's aunt has a beautiful house in Marshfield. We would park there and we would kayak over. My husband calls John the North Star because he does all the planning and we just follow him. But that's
I
what
love
it started.
that.
Every weekend we were packing up from Bridgewater. And
Yeah.
Ellen just kept saying, like, I just want to live here. I want to go 10 minutes down the street, not, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Their quality of life, and they're young and they're fun, but their quality of life and her happiness is she goes down
Yeah.
and runs on the beach. She watches the sun come up.
Well, that's what it is. It's the quality of life, and we get so wrapped up and worked up in interest rates and in the process and everything. But at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of people that walk away from the situation, but you're still standing in it. So, and I'm meaning that as a buyer. So, you're purchasing a home and like I've said before, after closing day, it's just me. So, I'm the one who's going to be responsible for paying this mortgage. But, after closing day, the whole point, and I feel like I'm not meaning to like preach and whatever, but your quality of life is what matters, especially in a world like this, the world that we're living in. Don't you want to sort of have that quality of life and be happy and just like manifest? I know it's silly, but like manifest and make what you want your life to be happen. And I feel like Ellen and her husband did that.
Totally.
Yeah.
They did do it.
They had to get it out of their systems to look at the 4 bedrooms, even though they already had. Did they have 4 or 3?
They would have been a lateral move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the point? Like, to them, there had to have been a reason why they wanted to leave their home. And I think that maybe they were looking at those homes because they were close to water, I'm assuming.
And because it's such there's nothing not to fall in love with, especially that area in Sandwich. But, and it's true that it ended up being the one that they needed because right now we're in our 50s and we're spry and we can run up the stairs, but like someday we're not going to.
Yeah.
And guess what? They have no worries. It's one level.
Yeah.
They can go out on the back deck.
I know. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's so
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's so cute.
And I'm so happy for them. And I'm happy for you because, you gave them
have for
such a
time?
great experience. We have about 5 minutes left. So if you want to join in on a discussion, 781-837-4900 is the number to the studio. You'll get piped into us and you can even say hi or anything. But we only have 5 minutes left. But
So Ellen kind of confirmed it that you can sell and show and live in the house and sell it and buy something else all at the same time.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Because here's the thing. This isn't new. People have been doing this for years, so it's just, I feel like when we were in sort of COVID mode and things had to change rapidly, really quickly, it sort of made people forget, like, no, this is the process. Like, there are people who put their house on the market who then go and look. It's not out of the norm. It's just out of the norm in the past couple of years. But, like, this happens all the time.
Right.
And some people that's how they want to do the process. And you have to respect that. And as a realtor, we have to respect that too. You can't force anybody out of their house.
Right.
So if they're not ready, if they are more comfortable putting their house on the market, knowing that they've secured a buyer, the right buyer that will give them the time, those buyers are out there.
And I feel like we're going back into that market, which is going to be a little bit more competitive, that everybody has to at least consider that. Because what I always say to my sellers is, let's come up with A, B, and C. A being the best scenario possible. B being, okay, you're a little uncomfortable. And C being, all right, this is our last choice, but we can do it. And sometimes A is you put your house on, you find something, and the lines, line up and everything's perfect.
Yeah.
And B may be that you do some sort of a rent back, or C is you sell the house and you go rent somewhere, which is really what Ellen and John did. They secured housing, so they were a much better buyer because they had already sold their house.
Yeah.
And they were
Well,
a little bit further in the
think
process.
think of it about, when you're putting an offer in on a house and you already have an accepted offer. Like, there are pros and cons to every scenario. And that's why it's so important for the realtor to give those scenarios and say, hey, this is a pro, this is a con, this is a pro, this is a con for every situation. Putting your house on the market first, waiting until you have an accepted offer. If you have a home sale contingency, I mean, we can do a million shows on these things and a million shows on different scenarios. But again, it just comes down to open communication. And when you're selling your home, your realtor is putting in there, this is subject to the sale. Like, they need to find suitable housing, and it's not just that they're moving in with friends or family or moving to a rental or something. Like, no, they want to move into another home that they're purchasing.
Yeah. Or sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
Sometimes
they don't.
Once Ellen and John had their offers in front of them and they knew they were leaving no matter what, they actually thought, we don't even need that suitable housing clause. We're fine. We're going to sell and then we're going to rent. So again, I think it's just all in your head. And I think too, what we didn't really talk about is just the professionalism of having an agent who will think outside the box and who will be able to, like, hold your hand. Now, Ellen and John are our dearest friends, and I would have done anything for them. But I do have strangers who I meet, and then we go through the process together and we become friends. It's, you've just got to trust the person that's
helping you through this process.
Yeah, because,
no matter what it is.
And you have to be comfortable with them. If you get a red flag that you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this with them, then find another agent.
Yeah. I mean,
because they're not your people.
It's just like a house. First impressions matter. And when we were talking about, a million people showing up to an open house that's maybe an hour long because they weren't able to get into it, when you have 100 people waiting in line, especially when it's a smaller home,
that just brings me back to
it just creates this negative sort of environment, and you don't want that for your home.
And I will say it, this is not a very popular opinion. I think sometimes the agents that do that do it for themselves so that they can say, oh, look what I did. I got, we have low inventory. If something is priced properly, it's going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anyone could sell it, but to expose it to as many people, to get the right offers, because there could be people that didn't even bother to come.
That is true. And like Ellen said, they didn't even do an open house, but they had you.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for joining. And thank you, Ellen. I don't know if you're still listening. Sheila Barber says thank you for sharing. You're welcome, Sheila. But thank you so much for listening tonight. We are live again this Saturday from 10 to 11. And then obviously we'll be back next Tuesday as well. So, but thanks, Kristen. Bye, everybody.
you.
Thanks for listening.
Have a great night.
Thanks, you
Thank
too.
you.
Shutting us down.